The desert never keeps secrets for long. It swallows footprints by morning, yes, but it exposes weaknesses in ways no city ever could. Under the merciless afternoon sun, the land stretched endlessly in every direction, dry, cracked, and brutally honest. In the middle of it stood a sleek, modern home that looked as though it had been dropped there by force rather than welcomed by nature. Glass walls reflected the blazing sky. Steel beams cut sharp angles against the horizon. It was bold, impressive, defiant, and completely out of place. Cody stood at the front of it like a man unveiling a monument to himself. His posture was upright, chest forward, chin lifted just enough to project authority. His smile was broad, too broad, like someone stretching a mask across a face that no longer fit beneath it. Sweat gathered at his temples, though whether from heat or pressure was impossible to tell. "All right, everyone," he called out, clapping his hands together sharply. "Let's get this done." Big smiles. "We want this to look perfect." Perfect. The words seemed to echo unnaturally in the dry air. Behind him, the family arranged themselves like actors hitting their marks. 4 wives, several children, a camera crew adjusting lenses, pretending not to sense the tension that hung thicker than the heat. Maria, the eldest wife, stood slightly apart from the others, not so far that it would look deliberate on film, but far enough that the distance felt symbolic. Her arms were crossed loosely over her chest. She wore sunglasses, but her posture spoke volumes. Once the foundation of this family, once the unwavering first partner in every risk Cody ever took, she now looked like an afterthought in her own life. Robin, the youngest, knelt beside a restless toddler whose cheeks were flushed from the sun. She brushed damp curls away from the child's forehead and whispered soothing words, though her own smile flickered each time the toddler squirmed away. Her gaze kept drifting toward Cody, searching for reassurance, approval, something. Jessica shifted her weight beside Anna, both women exchanging a look that lasted only a second but carried years of silent understanding. It was the look of women who had weathered promises that sounded beautiful but aged poorly. "Perfect for who, Cody?" Anna asked dryly. The question landed softly but cut deep. Cody didn't hesitate. "For us. For the cameras. For the future. For the future." He gestured impatiently, positioning them like pieces on a chessboard. Maria stepped forward, forcing a small smile that didn't reach her eyes. Jessica adjusted one of the children's shoulders. Anna smoothed her dress. Robin stood at Cody's side. Toddler finally settled against her hip, her expression delicate and composed. The camera shutter clicked repeatedly. From the outside it was an image of unity. One man at the center, 4 devoted wives radiating loyalty. Children gathered close like proof of abundance. It looked strong, intentional, unbreakable. But beneath the surface, cracks ran deep. Maria's fingers dug subtly into her forearm. Jessica's jaw tightened each time Cody leaned slightly toward Robin. Anna stared straight ahead, refusing to look at him. And Cody, though smiling, never quite looked at Maria at all. The photo would be framed, cheered, defended, but it would never tell the truth. That night, when the desert cooled and shadows swallowed the harshness of the day, Maria sat alone on the edge of her bed in a dimly lit bedroom that felt too large for one person. The room was elegant, tastefully decorated, expensive in a way that suggested success. Yet it felt hollow. Her phone glowed in her hand. She hesitated before pressing it to her ear. "I don't know how much more I can take, Lisa," she whispered. Her voice trembled despite her effort to steady it. "He barely looks at me anymore. It's like I'm invisible. It's always Robin. Her opinions, her comfort, her feelings." She twisted her wedding ring slowly, staring at the indentation it had left on her finger over the years. "We built this together," she continued. "All of us. I was there when we had nothing. When the house was small and the bills were bigger than the kitchen table. I believed in him. I defended him." Her breath caught. "But now it feels like I'm just maintaining the old structure while he's building something new, with someone else." A tear slid down her cheek before she could stop it. I used to believe in this family. I used to feel chosen. Now I feel replaced. Across the house, Cody stood in his den in front of a large map pinned to the wall. The southwestern United States spread before him like a territory waiting to be conquered. This is it, he announced to the room, pacing excitedly. A new compound. One massive plot of land. Multiple homes. Solar power. Shared resources. We centralize everything. Janelle sat quietly, hands folded. Christine leaned forward, brows drawn together. Mary stared at the map without enthusiasm. Robin stood beside Cody, nodding softly. It sounds expensive, Janelle said carefully. It's an investment, Cody shot back. You can't build legacy without risk. Christine exchanged a glance with Janelle. Where does the money come from? We leverage. Loans. Sell some assets. What assets? Mary asked sharply. Cody waved dismissively. We'll figure it out. Robin's voice floated gently into the tension. It's beautiful, Cody. Imagine us all together again. Together. The irony went unnoticed by only one person in the room. Later that evening, in Janelle's kitchen, the atmosphere felt heavier than the desert heat had earlier. Christine sat at the table, stirring her tea absently. He's unrealistic, Janelle said quietly. Always chasing something bigger. And Robin always supports it, Christine replied. Janelle's lips pressed into a thin line. We can't keep doing this, Christine continued. We need stability. Janelle looked up. What are you suggesting? Christine hesitated before lowering her voice. If we present a united front, all of us. The idea lingered dangerously between them. But unity required trust. And trust was already thinning. At the annual family picnic days later, laughter echoed beneath the pavilion, but it sounded forced. Cody moved through the crowd performing ease. Maria kept conversations short. Janelle observed silently. Christine's smile never reached her eyes. Near the snack table, Mary leaned close to Robin. We need to confront him together, Mary whispered. Robin stiffened. He won't take that well. He doesn't have to. Across the pavilion, Christine and Janelle watched carefully. Then Robin's voice rose unexpectedly when Cody approached. Some of us can't just float through life expecting things to magically work out. The statement cut the air. Cody's smile faltered. What is that supposed to mean? It means we're tired of uncertainty, Mary replied. The festive atmosphere evaporated instantly. This isn't the place, Cody snapped. Maybe it is, Janelle said. Your constant schemes are draining us, Christine added. Silence spread outward like ripples in water. Cody's face flushed. You think you know better than me? No one answered. They didn't need to. That night, Christine scrubbed a pot aggressively when Robin entered the kitchen. Cody thinks you're stirring trouble, Robin said softly. Christine stopped scrubbing. What did you tell him? I told him you seemed unhappy. And about the group chat. Robin hesitated. I had to protect myself. The betrayal settled like ice. The silence after the bank call did not feel temporary. Felt like the kind of silence that comes before something breaks. Christine stood in her kitchen long after Robin had retreated down the hallway. Long after the sound of cabinet doors closing faded into nothing. The bills were still scattered across the table. White envelopes stamped with red warnings. Numbers that refused to make sense no matter how many times she recalculated them. Interest rates. Late fees. Property references she didn't recognize. Her name was printed clearly on documents she had never seen before. Her credit was tied to investments she had never approved. And suddenly, the life she had sacrificed everything for felt less like a partnership and more like a trap. She sank slowly into a chair, staring at the foreclosure notice. It wasn't just paper. It was proof. Proof that Cody's vision was built on invisible debts carried by visible victims. The front door opened. She didn't need to look up to know it was him. Cody's footsteps echoed through the house with the same confidence he had worn at the photo shoot days earlier. He walked into the kitchen, stopping when he saw the table. "What's all this?" he asked casually. Christine didn't answer immediately. She slid one of the envelopes toward him. "You tell me." He glanced at it briefly. Too briefly. "It's temporary," he said. "Temporary." Her voice was calm, too calm. "They're foreclosing, Cody. It's just pressure tactics. Banks do that. My name is on this property." He paused. And I never agreed to it." His jaw tightened. "You agreed to support the family." Christine stood slowly. Supporting the family and being blindsided are not the same thing. He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. "This is what building something bigger looks like." "This." "No," she said quietly. "This is what recklessness looks like." For a moment, they simply stared at each other. The air between them felt electric, unstable. "You're overreacting," he finally muttered. Christine laughed, a short, brittle sound. "I'm overreacting. My credit is destroyed. My kids could lose their home." "Our home," he corrected. She stepped closer. "Which one?" The question landed harder than she intended, because they both knew the answer. Later that night, in a separate wing of the house that felt far more occupied than the rest, Robin sat on the edge of her bed staring at her phone. A message from Cody blinked on the screen. "She's turning them against me." Robin closed her eyes. She hadn't meant for it to spiral like this. She had told him about the group chat because he had cornered her, voice raised, pacing, demanding answers. He had accused her of being distant, of hiding things, of betraying him, so she had panicked. And now Christine was looking at her differently. Janelle barely spoke to her. Mary's messages had grown shorter. She was caught between loyalty and survival, and she had chosen survival. Across the house, Maria lay awake staring at the ceiling. The sound of distant arguing had reached her earlier, muffled but unmistakable. She hadn't intervened. For years she had fought to be heard, matter, to remind Cody of promises made when they had nothing but ambition and belief. Now she was tired. Her phone buzzed. A message from Janelle. "We need to talk. All of us." Maria stared at the words for a long time before typing back. "Tomorrow." The following afternoon, they gathered in Janelle's kitchen. No cameras, no performance. Just 4 women sitting around a table that had seen too many forced smiles. Christine laid out copies of the foreclosure documents. "He's leveraged properties under our names," she said. "Without full disclosure." Mary's face paled. "That's not just irresponsible. That's dangerous." Maria leaned back slowly. "How long?" "Long enough," Christine replied. Silence stretched. Then Janelle spoke. "This compound idea isn't just a dream. It's an escape plan." They all looked at her. "He's drowning," Janelle continued. "And instead of stabilizing, he wants to build something bigger so it looks like growth." Maria let out a breath. "He's always believed expansion equals success." "And what about us?" Mary asked quietly. No one answered, because the truth was obvious. They were collateral. The tension escalated days later during a filmed sit-down at the park pavilion. Microphones were clipped on, chairs arranged carefully. Cody insisted they present unity. "We're here to show strength," he said, smoothing his shirt. Maria forced a polite expression. Christine stared straight ahead. Janelle crossed her legs slowly. Mary clasped her hands together tightly. Robin swallowed hard. "There have been rumors," Cody began smoothly. "But our family is solid." Christine's eyes flickered toward him. "Solid," she repeated softly. Cody shot her a warning look. Mary cleared her throat. "We've faced challenges." "Every family does," Cody cut in quickly. "Yes," Janelle said evenly. "But not every family hides financial risks from each other. The crew shifted uncomfortably. Cody's smile vanished. "This isn't the time." "It's exactly the time," Christine said. Robin's pulse pounded in her ears. The narrative was slipping. Cody stood abruptly. "We are not doing this on camera." He walked off. The microphones kept recording. The fallout was immediate. That evening, Robin sat across from Cody in his office. "You told them I'm the problem," he accused. "I didn't. They think I favor you." She hesitated. "You do," she whispered. His expression darkened. "I give you attention because you support me. And they don't because they're exhausted." He stared at her as though she had just betrayed him again. "You're supposed to be on my side." "I am," she said, though it sounded weaker than she intended. Meanwhile, Christine sat in her bedroom packing a small overnight bag. Not to leave. Not yet. Just to feel what it might be like. Her hands moved methodically. Clothes folded, toiletries zipped, documents tucked carefully into a hidden compartment. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost ignored it. Almost. "Hello. Is this Christine?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes." There was hesitation on the other end. "My name is Serena." The name meant nothing at first. But the next sentence changed everything. "I think we need to talk about Cody." Christine's heart began to pound. "I have a son," Serena continued quietly. "He's 10. And Cody is his father." The room felt suddenly smaller. Christine sat down slowly on the edge of the bed. "What?" "He's known," Serena said. "For years." The silence that followed was deafening. Christine's grip tightened on the phone. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because he's stopped responding. And I'm tired of pretending my child doesn't exist." Christine's breath came shallow. Proof arrived the next day, documents. A notarized affidavit. Photos. A timeline that overlapped painfully with their so-called united family life. Christine didn't confront him immediately. She brought the envelope to Janelle instead. Then to Maria. Then to Mary. When Robin arrived and saw the document, her hands began to shake. "He told me it was a rumor," she whispered. "It's not," Christine replied. The air in the room felt charged with something irreversible. Years of tension. Years of compromise. Years of silent resentment. All converging into a single truth. Their husband had built an entire hidden chapter of his life while preaching transparency. The confrontation happened the following morning. The moment after the truth surfaces is never loud. Doesn't explode the way people expect. Stretches, thickens, changes the oxygen in the room. Cody stood there, the affidavit trembling slightly in Robin's hands, and for the first time in years, no one was waiting for him to explain things away. The living room felt unfamiliar, like a stage where the script had suddenly gone missing. "It was 10 years ago," he said finally, voice strained but controlled. "Before things were stable. Before the show. Before the move." "Before what?" Maria asked quietly. "Before integrity." He ignored that. "I didn't know for sure at first," he continued. "She said the child was mine, but you signed acknowledgement papers," Janelle interrupted, tapping the affidavit. "You knew." Silence. Christine watched him carefully. Not with anger. Not even with shock anymore. Just observation. Like she was seeing him clearly for the first time without the fog of belief. "You let us sit in interviews defending you," Mary said, voice shaking. "You let us talk about transparency. About unity." "I was protecting the family," Cody snapped suddenly. "From what?" Christine asked calmly. "The truth." His jaw tightened. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under." Maria let out a bitter laugh. "Pressure? You created this." Robin stood frozen, her face pale. The revelation had hit her differently. She wasn't just angry. She was unraveling. "You told me it was a rumor," she whispered. Cody turned toward her. "I didn't want to hurt you." "You hurt all of us," she replied. The words hung there, heavy and undeniable. And in that moment, something shifted inside Christine. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was clarity. The next few days unfolded like a slow implosion. Phone calls were made behind closed doors. Doors that had once remained open in the name of unity were now firmly shut. Christine met with a lawyer first. The office smelled like polished wood and coffee. Clean, orderly, controlled. The opposite of her home. "You're legally tied to multiple shared assets," the attorney explained, flipping through documents. "And several loans." "Without my consent?" she asked. "Your signature is on some of these." She frowned. "I don't remember signing them." "Sometimes paperwork gets bundled," he said carefully. Bundled. Like her autonomy had been wrapped up neatly inside his ambition. "And custody?" she asked. "If you separate, it becomes negotiable. But financial instability strengthens your position." Financial instability. The phrase felt ironic. Cody's recklessness might be the very thing that freed her. Meanwhile, inside the house, the tension thickened by the hour. Maria withdrew almost completely. She stopped participating in group dinners, stopped asking about plans, stopped pretending she believed the compound dream would ever materialize. Janelle became analytical, quiet, observant. She began requesting copies of every financial statement, every property deed, every loan agreement. Mary oscillated between fury and grief. Fury at the deception. Grief at the realization that the foundation she had defended for decades was rotting. Robin, however, struggled the most visibly. One night, she sat across from Cody in his office again, but this time there was no softness in her expression. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "I didn't think it mattered anymore." A child doesn't stop mattering. He ran his hands through his hair. "You don't know what it's like being responsible for this many people." She stared at him. "Responsible? You mean controlling?" He stiffened. "I built this family. And you're tearing it apart." He stood abruptly. "They're poisoning you." "No," she said quietly. "You are." The words cut deeper than anything the others had said. Because Robin had always been his refuge. And now even she was slipping. The production crew sensed it too. Conversations were sharper. Glances colder. The staged unity harder to manufacture. At a scheduled filmed family meeting, Cody attempted to regain authority. "We need to address this as adults," he began, sitting at the head of the table. Christine folded her hands calmly. Janelle had a folder beside her. Maria leaned back, expression unreadable. Mary stared straight ahead. Robin sat slightly apart. "This secret," he continued, "was a mistake. I handled it privately to avoid chaos." "By creating more chaos," Janelle replied. "We've survived worse," he insisted. Christine's eyes locked onto his. "No," she said softly. "We survived because we didn't know." The room went still. "What are you saying?" he asked. "I'm saying ignorance isn't resilience. It's manipulation." His face darkened. "You're planning something." She didn't deny it. Days later, the confrontation escalated beyond emotion into logistics. Christine entered his office carrying a manila envelope. He looked up, exhausted but defensive. "What now?" She placed the envelope on his desk. "This is my final offer." He stared at it but didn't touch it. "The house is yours," she continued evenly. "The shared savings allocated to me are mine. And I want full custody of Truly." His head snapped up. "You're not serious." "I've never been more serious." "You're blowing this out of proportion." She leaned forward slightly. "You fathered a child in secret. You leveraged properties under my name. You emotionally abandoned me. Which part is proportionate?" He opened his mouth then closed it. "You can't just walk away," he said finally. "I already have," she replied. And for the first time he saw it. Not the anger. Not the frustration. The absence. She was no longer fighting to be chosen. She was choosing herself. Meanwhile, Serena's existence loomed larger. The older children had begun asking questions. Whispers traveled quickly within extended family circles. The illusion of control was slipping publicly now. Maria confronted Cody privately one evening. "I stood by you when no one else did," she said quietly. "When we had nothing. When everyone called us foolish." "I know," he replied, weary. "Do you? 'Cause it doesn't feel like you do." He rubbed his temples. "I never meant to hurt you. That's the problem," she said softly. "You never meant to consider us either." Janelle, pragmatic as ever, met with a financial advisor shortly after. "You're exposed," the advisor told her. "Significantly. I suspected as much. If one wife exits, it destabilizes everything." She nodded slowly. "Then maybe it needs to destabilize." Back in the house, Christine began packing in earnest this time. Drawers emptied, closets cleared, photographs carefully removed from frames. Truly watched quietly from the doorway. "Are we going somewhere?" she asked. Christine knelt in front of her daughter. "Yes," she said gently. "Somewhere peaceful." "Will Daddy come?" Christine hesitated only a second. "No." That night, Cody sat alone in his office staring at the original desert family photo. The smiles looked real. He traced his finger over each face. "What happened?" he whispered. But deep down he knew. Control had replaced connection. Vision had replaced stability. And ego had replaced accountability. The following morning, Christine loaded her car before sunrise. The house was quiet. She didn't wake anyone. She didn't leave a dramatic note. She simply closed the door softly behind her. As the desert stretched out ahead of her, vast and unforgiving, she felt something unexpected. The house felt different after Christine left. Not quieter. Quieter would have implied peace. This was heavier. The kind of silence that presses against your chest and reminds you that something essential is missing. Cody stood in the middle of the living room, staring at the door Christine had closed behind her just hours earlier. The early morning light filtered through the glass walls, casting long shadows across the floor. For years, he had moved through this space like a leader surveying his kingdom. Now it felt unfamiliar. "Hello. Where did she go?" he asked again, though the question sounded smaller the second time. Janelle remained at the kitchen counter, arms folded, gaze steady. "She told you she would leave. I didn't think she would actually do it." Maria stepped into the room slowly. "That's been your problem for a long time. You never think we'll actually do it." Robin sat at the table, fingers wrapped around a cold mug of coffee she hadn't touched. Her eyes were red from crying, but her expression was no longer confused. It was calculating, evaluating. Mary avoided looking at anyone. Cody ran a hand over his face. "We can fix this. Can we?" Janelle asked quietly. No one answered him anymore with automatic reassurance. No one rushed to soften his failures. Christine's absence wasn't dramatic. It was structural, like removing a load-bearing wall. The house still stood, but something essential had shifted. By afternoon, the news had begun to circulate beyond the immediate family. Production staff whispered. Extended relatives texted. Social media speculation ignited. The narrative Cody had so carefully curated was unraveling publicly now. He retreated to his office, shutting the door with more force than necessary. Papers covered the desk. Loan agreements, property deeds, statements he hadn't fully reviewed in months. The compound blueprint still hung on the wall behind him. Suddenly looked absurd. All those clean lines and bold promises. He sank into his chair and picked up the framed desert photo from weeks earlier. The forced smiles. The illusion of unity. He noticed something now he hadn't before. Christine's body angled slightly away from him. Maria's distance. Janelle's guarded eyes. The cracks had been there long before the affidavit. Long before the foreclosure notice. Long before Serena's name resurfaced. He just hadn't looked closely enough. Down the hall, Robin knocked softly on Maria's door. "Can we talk?" she asked. Maria hesitated before opening it. "About what?" "About everything." They sat across from each other, years of complicated loyalty stretching between them. "I didn't mean for this to happen," Robin said quietly. Maria tilted her head. "Which part?" "Telling him about the group chat. Not pushing harder when he dismissed the Serena rumors. Believing him." Maria studied her carefully. "You didn't cause this," she said finally. "You just helped it surface." Robin swallowed. "He's not the man I thought he was." Maria's expression softened slightly. "No. He's exactly the man he's always been. We just kept believing in a better version of him." In another part of the house, Janelle sat with Mary at the kitchen table again, but this time the conversation felt less like planning and more like reckoning. "Christine was brave," Mary admitted quietly. "Yes," Janelle agreed. "I don't know if I'm brave." Janelle met her eyes. "You don't have to be brave all at once. You just have to stop lying to yourself." Mary stared down at her hands. For years, she had clung to loyalty like armor. Now it felt heavy. Meanwhile, Christine drove through the desert with the windows down, wind tangling her hair as Truly slept in the back seat. The horizon stretched wide and open ahead of her. Her phone buzzed repeatedly. Calls from Cody she ignored, messages she didn't read. For the first time in years, she felt in control of the direction her life was taking. Not because it was easy, but because it was hers. Back at the house, tension escalated by evening. Cody gathered the remaining wives in the living room. "We are not falling apart," he declared. Maria raised an eyebrow. "We already are. This is temporary." "No," Janelle corrected. "This is the consequence." He looked at Robin expecting support. She didn't give it. "We can't keep pretending," she said softly. His frustration flared. "So what? You're all just giving up?" "No," Maria replied calmly. "We're done pretending." The word hung in the air. For the first time, Cody had no counterargument. Because control only works when people are willing to stay. And Christine had proven they didn't have to. That night, the house felt cavernous. Empty bedrooms echoed differently. The